we are putting in place some of these things. And it is very difficult to pinpoint one particular agency, but overall, there's been a weakness in terms of this issue. Because everybody thought, after some time, this will go away. After some time, this will go away. But they are not going away. Clearly, they have been here 30 years. And looking at the future, it's like they're going to be here for the next... Okay, they have arrived. All right, they are not about to go away. That is why we need to think now. And that's what we are doing. We are trying to think outside the box to ensure we deal with these issues. Because we don't seem to have an exit strategy. We don't seem to have. That's the truth of the matter. And it is our collective duty as government, as people of Kenya, as stakeholders, to think about the exit strategy. Probably, Shirika plan would be one way of looking at it in terms of managing, sustainable management of this issue, because it's very costly, it is very insecure, there are many challenges which come with it. Honorable Major Deko, on database and the issue of policy and whether we are able to take over the entire management of refugees, we are doing everything possible to bring back the management of refugees from UNHCR to the government of Kenya properly. And the only way we can do it is to put more resources into management of refugees, is to hire our people, ensure that we have better allocation for our people, our security agencies are supported, so that we can be able to manage 100% all matters with refugees. As things stand now, we heavily rely on our partners, and that is why there is a weakness in terms of management. On environment, I think clearly, as you have suggested, Honorable Deko, alternative energy sources is the way to go. Using gas, using solar, using other ways, and also replacing the environment by planting more trees and ensuring that we manage the ones which are remaining so that these people don't continue destroying the environment. I agree with you that the refugees who are coming now are not necessarily coming because of war, they are coming because of other reasons. But if you look at the global trends now, we have about 130 million refugees around the world. And the numbers are increasing every day, into millions of them. So it is not only Kenya. Many countries around the world are having the same problem we have. And people are going for different reasons. There are those who are going for political reasons, those who are going because of drought, those who are going because of famine, those who are going because of economic reasons, and many others. Even in Europe, there's a really big problem on refugees. On Shirika Plan, Mheshimiwa, I agree with you. We need to still listen to the views of the people. And we are really committed to ensuring that we go to all the camps, all the counties who have refugees, and listen to the people. But our proposal is that we can be able to have a solution that is acceptable to both the host communities and the refugees, because our intention is to get a solution so that we have a sustainable way of dealing with refugees. So we are going to the ground, and we shall be seeking the support of the committee together with the elected leaders from some of these regions, so that we can be able to get a good reception and be able to take ideas and views from the people. But clearly, we are open-minded in how this Shirika plan needs to be implemented in the interest of our country and interest also of our international partners and the obligations we have committed to. Honorable Chair, very quickly, you said there's an influx of refugees in our camps. During your tour, you saw that there are about 5,000 people. I agree with you that we need to take back the Libo Reception Center out of the camp. I think that is a very good proposal, so that people don't come in and settle before we know who they are. I think the way it is being done now is a bit not very okay. We need to take back the reception camp like it was before. Initially, the border had a reception camp, but right now the camp has been brought here. So we are going to work with the UNHCR to take back the reception center, so that the reception center is not in the camp itself. I think that will be able to help us improve our our security. In terms of exit plan, it is not very easy to say what is the exit plan. It is very important for us to think about innovative ways of dealing with this issue, because it is not possible, honorable members through the chair, to close the camp and tell these guys to go away. It is things we have signed. Everybody is looking at Kenya. We have done very well. In fact, most countries are borrowing from us how we are thinking about this Shirika plan. Everybody, when we go to Geneva, when we go to many places, the whole world feels if Kenya is going to do it right on Shirika plan, that is the way to go. Even for other countries, for the 130 million refugees around the world, every nation around the world is looking at Kenya and saying, if you do it well, we are going to copy your model and we are going to use it to help us also, because they are also stuck with this issue. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, PS. Honorable Engineer Ms. Chome has, I think. Yes, very briefly.
Yes. Thank you, Chair. The first one is, first of all, I have to say this. Thank you very much for a very elaborate answer. And a few things when you're going out, I just thought I should mention. The first thing, the Shirika plan, we need to carry out a study. Is it an incentive for the influx that we are seeing at the moment? Is it the one leading for them to be still continue coming? That Shirika plan. That is one. The second thing is that we have a constitution that says that all children born in Kenya are Kenyans. And the constitution is supreme law. Therefore, if we don't have them as citizens now, the integration will be that the next generation will be Kenyans. And that will affect the demography, will have an imbalance in the population. The third you've answered is that screening of any people who are seeking asylum is done at the border, at the point of entry. You declare and you ask for protection at the point of entry.
Thank you.
That was all. If we allow it to come to whatever, but you answered that one, and I think it would be very good to let them seek protection at the point of entry and the gate screen there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable PS, thank you very much for that explanation. Well done. I think when you say that if we just want to drive out refugees out in their countries, we have a name and image of a country to protect. I agree with you totally. But PS, look here. What of the image we lost recently when we abducted the Turkeys and took their country because they have asylum seekers in this country? Are you in picture to tell this committee what was seriously behind the 4 Turkeys? Because up to now, even nobody knows, even this big parliament, we don't know what problems that these Turkeys committed in this country or their country. Can we put us in light PS? Because that also is an image kind of thing. In fact, I served to parliament. I served National Assembly and I served Pan-African Parliament in Midland, Johannesburg. All the 54 countries of Africa complained about these abductions. It was put on the website of Pan-African Parliament in Johannesburg, South Africa. So PS, kindly put us in picture about the 4 abducted Turkeys. They also tailed our image as a PS officer. Thank you all.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Let me start with Honorable Hamisi's concern about Shirika plan, whether it is increasing the influx. I do not have evidence to support whether there is an influx because of good things coming. But clearly, Shirika plan is in our constitution says that all children in Kenya, all children born in Kenya are registered by civil registration. That's correct. But that does not entitle them to citizenship. A birth certificate is not an entitlement to citizenship. National ID is what entitles one to be a Kenyan citizen. So the law is very clear that all persons born in Kenya are registered at birth and given birth certificate, but that's not evidence for citizenship. Citizenship is carried by the national ID. That needs to be very clear. And that most of the refugees now who came 30 years ago are already adults actually in Kenya. But most of them have refugee ID. They don't have national ID. They don't have Kenya's national ID. So as to what will happen in the future when they'll be 70, 80 years is another subject of discussion which it's actually, you can only speculate. Honorable Kalasinga, thank you very much for saying that I've done very well. I appreciate your comment. Now, Kenya has very good credentials globally on matters refugees, including this Shirika plan. We really have very good credentials. However, on the understanding and arrangement between Kenya government and Turkish government, the Turkish government requested the 4 Turkish persons to be handed over to Turkey. It was a bilateral arrangement supported by very strong relationship between the two countries. Of course, in some quarters, there are many people who argue that it was very unfortunate, but this was an arrangement between the two governments that they handed over to their government. And that was what exactly happened. And there was a very clear statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on this particular issue. It is, of course, I wouldn't want to say much about it because the statement was very clear from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that the Turkish government, who have a very strong relationship with Kenya government, had an arrangement to be able to have the Turkish taken back to Turkey. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, PS. I think, to say something? Okay, one small thing. I heard the PS saying that Kenya is being recognized globally for the way they're handling refugee affairs in the country. And now with the Ushirika plan, I think it's like the world is looking at Kenya, how they're going to pull that through. But again, I heard the PS saying there's a delegation that will come from Kenya to go to Colombia to do benchmarking on data management, refugee data. So how does that come? If Kenya is non-worldwide, and I don't think Colombia has got a bigger refugee problems like we have in Kenya. So I don't know, why are we going to Colombia if people are coming to Kenya to benchmark? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think before you take from our visits to the camps, clearly the host communities have issues. And they have issues that they need addressed by the government. Now, when you go to those places, the face of government is limited. And you go to Kakuma, you go to Dadaab, they are talking about UN. In fact, in those places, it is UN government. The Kenya government is not there. So everybody is talking about UN, the government is not present. And in fact, even government officers, agencies, operatives, all are in UN. They act and behave like people or workers of the UN, including the security agencies. They take instructions, directives, and whatever from UN. UNH in this case is UNHCR. So that is what we observed. That and the focus and interest has been given to refugees rather than the host communities. That came out. And you see, as representatives of the people, we really feel what the people, the host communities are complaining. That's what we observed. If you go to Dadaab, for example, we have refugees in Fafi. Now the headquarters of Fafi is in Fafi. But the DCC is in Hagdera, a refugee camp, because it is more safer there than what? Than Fafi. So you can now look at that situation. And when you look at some of the things that they have done to refugees compared to what they have done for the host communities, there's a big imbalance. There's a big imbalance. Take, for example, scholarships given by UNHCR. Their distribution and the way they're given out
is something the communities are complaining about. They give about 3,000 scholarships and only about 300, is it 100 or no, about not even 100, less than 100 are given to locals. The rest of the 3,000. So this focus has been given to refugees rather than the people hosting these refugees. And you see they're occupying and even destroying the environment and many other things. So I think, Piers, I think you need to seriously look at that. In fact, I was even going to ask, actually, who is in the best position to talk about the issues of refugees? Is it the Kenya government or UNHCR? Because the presence of the Kenya government is very limited. It's not seen. Even when you go there, you ask who are DRS here, and you see even the DRS are also recruited through resources from UNHCR. Just like you said in your presentation, that UNHCR gives resources to DRS to recruit staff on temporary basis, and therefore UNHCR therefore directs and dictates what happens. So whereas we even talk about government, but technically it is UNHCR that are directing everything refugee management in this country. When we went to Dadaab, but I think you answered that. The registration center is at the camp. The vetting is even there. And they even said that the people come, put up with their relatives in the camps first. They can stay a month or so before they show up at the registration center. Whether they show up or not is not a big issue because they can even stay and go back. So I think there's a lapse. There's a lapse there, vetting and registration. And in Dadaab, there is no reception center. So people just come, get into the camps. In Kakuma, we found there was a reception center where those who have not qualified to be registered are kept in a reception center for some time. And there were many. And then again, this is the problem of, I think there was a policy that refugees from Sudan are not subjected to a lot of vetting. So there's something you call, is it primacy or something like that? So that they just come and fit in. That's also a threat to, we found that would be a threat to even national security. So I think a lot of focus and attention is given to refugees rather than the host communities. So maybe you can make comments on that, but it appears as we close. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Just to agree with you that, Honorable Chair, that the reason why UNHCR is very strong in some of these camps is because of resources. They're able to mobilize everybody. They put in a lot of money. Their budget is very big compared to the budget the government. That's why the government is not failed, because we are not putting enough resources. So I want to appeal to the committee to help us set up proper structures for DRS so that we can be able to be felt, so that we don't rely on UNHCR on everything. Even employment of our people, we rely on them. And that is where the problem is. But look, I was in Kakuma the other day. UNHCR had mobilized resources to build a stadium. And everywhere it was UNHCR. The government's position is not fair because we have not put in any money. We have not supported much of the activities going on there. That is the main problem. Even data, even most of the things. And our thinking as government has always been, this issue of refugees is temporary. We are going to close the camps and leave this issue, and so that has been the mindset for the last 30 years. That is why we have not put in enough resources. And I appeal to the committee. The only way we can have proper control, proper management of refugees is with the support of the committee when we put in enough resources. In terms of the budget, employment of people by the Kenyan government, and supporting the resources. Now, on Colombia, Honorable Kazungu asked, why are we going to Colombia? I want to say that one of the reasons why we are going to Colombia is they have a refugee database that was supported by one of the donors who have encouraged us to go and look at that model. We're just going there to look at the way they have been able to implement a very successful refugee database. We have very good credentials, but sometimes it's possible to learn from a small brother or a young sister. It's also possible. So for this case, let us agree that we are going to learn from our younger brother or our younger sister, and God willing, will come with fresh ideas on how to be able to manage refugee database. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Chairman, usifikiri bwana, mwalike chai. Iko chai hapo.
Iko chai. Unasema nimeona iko chai, tukunywe chai. Iko chai. So
don't treat our peers like refugees.